What are the 7 steps to wealth? It's what we're talking about today at the East Central Business Show. I'm John Naylor. I'm joined by John Fitzgerald, author, property investor, all-around good guy. And we're getting into that good guy stuff shortly in this episode. Hopefully, it's been quite a series. Now, one thing just before we kick off is that, there's lots of people subscribe to the Robert Kiyosaki model type thing. Is there a lot of similarities in what he preaches as to what you're about as well?
I think Kiyosaki talks about the concepts of leverage, growth, and income. He talks about that. But
he's big on opportunity though too as well.
Yeah,
it's like be in the position to grab the low-hanging fruit. Yeah.
For me, I actually follow the Warren Buffett philosophy better because and step 6 is make time work for you. Really should have been compound growth is the secret.
Oh, okay.
Because the biggest mistake I see investors make in property, and this is important, is selling your land. That's the biggest mistake. And the biggest mistake I've ever made is selling my land. You know, I've sold houses back in the day for $50,000, $95,000, $100,000 that I'd made money, I doubled my money on, but I realised it was, today it's worth $700,000, $800,000, $900,000, and I'd be significantly cash flow positive. And it was only when I really studied Warren Buffett and studied his principles that I realised that, and I don't know anything about the share market, and interestingly, he does not own any real estate. He still owns the house that he lives in. Crazy enough.
Right.
He doesn't like real estate. But we both agree that compound growth is the secret to building wealth. And what I say to anyone who wants to make any money, whether it be in property, in business, in anything you're going to do, how can I get compound growth? And compound growth, let's say, you're talking about LinkedIn. How do I go from 1,000 to 2,000 to 20,000 to 100 or 200,000? How do I get growth on my growth that doesn't stagnate and go down? Well, in real estate, the answer is simple. Never sell. Because if you're buying land with a house on it and you're following the 7 steps, they'll always just go up and up and up and up and up, and they'll double every 7 to 10 years. And that's really powerful because when I started in the business, I was buying houses in 1985, 30 plus years ago, 30 something years ago.
No, don't give it all away, John.
That's right.
You're allowed to secrets.
But I was buying house and land for $50,000. Today they're worth $600,000-$700,000. Now, think about this, and this is a really good story because this book's been endorsed by 3 of Australia's property billionaires, and they're really great guys. Bob L, Nev Pask, who unfortunately passed away in February this year, he's a fantastic guy, and Maha Sinnathamby, who owns probably the biggest block of land in Australia, Springfield, and he's building a city. But I'll tell you an interesting story about one of the billionaires. I've known them for a long time. One of them, and I was having lunch with him a few months ago, and he sold his business in 1987 for $120 million, and today's worth about $1.5 billion.
Okay.
And I said, let's just do the maths, and I'll test 7 steps with where you are today. You turn $120 million into $1.5 billion over the last, 30 years. Yeah. I said, well, look, now, if you had have taken that $120 million and bought houses in Brisbane, you would have bought them on 1,000 square metre blocks, and you would have paid $50,000. So you would have bought 2,400 houses. And today, those 2,400 houses sitting on 1,000 square metre blocks would be worth in the vicinity of $800,000 to $1 million.
Each, yeah.
Each.
Yeah.
So your net worth today would be over $2 billion. You certainly would have done as well or better.
Okay.
As well or better. But here's the most important thing. Those houses would rent for $500 a week thereabouts. You've got 2,400 of them, so you've got $120,000 a week in income.
In rental income.
In rental income. Now,
Smokes, that's a lot of dough, yeah.
That's a lot of dough. That's a lot of dough.
Yeah.
So, and this isn't getting the compounding effect. The compounding effect is, what if I took that $120 million or whatever and borrowed 50%. So then you're buying double. You would have been worth double what you're worth today.
If you kept going with the system, kept working it. Because that's the one thing you get out of the share markets. You hear them talking about, I should have stayed in on that position and let my profits run. And that's the thing. People get out of the share market at some point because they think, there's something's going to fail about it. But what we know about property in the most part is it just keeps on going up in value. That calculation I was talking about earlier, that square meterage in France, in the city of Paris is $1,500 per square meter. And that's like, 70 times what it is here in Brisbane, yeah?
It's crazy. But, and the interesting...
It just keeps on going. Keeps on going.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And the best property story in the world is McDonald's. Of course, yes. And McDonald's... there's a great line in the McDonald's movie and all that sort of thing. We're in the land business. We're not in the hamburger business. We're in the land business. And when they first came to Australia, Pete Ritchie is who started it in Australia. He's a fantastic Australian. They were buying land for $5 a square meter. Now that land is worth, it's commercial land, $3,000-$4,000 a square meter. Incredible, absolutely incredible. That's 30, 40 years ago. So you look at land on a square meter rate and realize it just grows and grows and grows. And if you're looking to build a land bank, therefore you need is cash flow. So step 6 is making time work for you, is understanding that the strategy is getting compound growth on growth. So you're buying property, and this is what my Jewish mentor said at the start. Here's the secret of wealth. You buy property, sit on it. As it grows in value, you use the growth to buy another one. And then you buy another one. You just keep doing that.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
Yeah.
And what we do is we just stuff it up. Because, we're going to buy, we're going to sell, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Now, I will say one thing about the Australian markets. Timing is important because the market does cycle. It doesn't go up and down. It goes up, bumps along, goes up again. So if you're going to build a land bank, you need to do it in 3 or 4 states. So you buy in Sydney, then you buy in Melbourne, then you buy in Brisbane, then you buy in Adelaide, then you buy in Perth, and you go around,
so you move around
and round.
Where things are shifting, yeah. Okay.
And now I've done probably 330 developments in those 5 states over the last 20 plus years. I've got many, many clients who have got properties in 4 and now 5 states. Okay. And it works. It absolutely works. Get growth out of Melbourne, then you use that growth to buy into Brisbane, use that growth to buy into Adelaide. And Perth's a mining market, but timing is important, but never sell and build a land bank.
There you go. And let compound growth work for you. I had this wonderful analogy that came up in something else I was watching. It's like, imagine you had a magic box under the bed, and if you put money in it, it'd be worth like 10, 20, 100 times what it is in 5 years' time. You'd put as much money in that box as you could, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And that's a lovely analogy around compound growth, because that's exactly what it is. And you're sort of doing through your land bank, job done, yeah?
Exactly. Absolutely exactly.
All right, fantastic. Now, how do people get some more John Fitzgerald?
Get a copy of the book. Please read it. And secondly, and all the proceeds go to our charity. And secondly, go on 7steps.com.au, 7stepstowealth.com.au.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. So we're just about done. There's a final episode of this wonderful series with John Fitzgerald coming up. And let's touch on that good guy part, yeah? And that's what we're going to do next time on the East Central Business Show. We'll speak to you next time.